Welcome to the Four Seasons. I'm your host, Ken Johnson. Today we're going to be talking about math. So welcome back. And I had a bunch of people that they've seen some of my videos in the past where I used math. And even though this is not a math channel, it seemed to be getting some questions. They're like, especially my subtraction. They say your subtraction does not look like our subtraction. And that's true. I use a thing called Austrian subtraction. So what is Austrian subtraction? Well, let's look at something right here. So I'm going to do 54. And then I'm going to subtract 36 from this. Now, we know that the 4 at the top is smaller than the 6 at the bottom if we're going from right to left. So what I do is I put a 1 here above or by the 4, and then I put a 1 down by the 3. So you should now see a 1 in front of the 4 and then a 1 by the 3 at the bottom. So what does this mean? Well, the 1 by the 4 means you add 10. So this is now 14. It is not a 4, it is 14. If you look at the 3, it means to add 1, okay? Because we're in a base 10 numeric system. So you add 1 to the 3 and you get 4. Now we can subtract from left to right with ease. So if you do that, 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 minus 5 is 1. So we got 1 there. Now, 6 minus 14, well, that's an 8. So we got 8 there. Okay? Well, let's do another one. Let's do, and I apologize for these funky numbers. I don't have a pen, that electronic pen, and so it looks weird. And if you think that my 7s look weird, it's because I use a European method of writing numbers, and so that's the way I do it. Even though I have a Southern accent, I do like some of the European methods. So, and I do the same thing with zeros to separate a 0 from a O, because O is a letter and 0 is a number. And so I'll put a bar in there. So we're going to do the same thing because this 1 at the top right is smaller than the 7. And so what we do is we say 3 minus 2 is 1. And 11 minus 7 is 4. Oops, well, that don't look much like a 4, but that's a 4. All right, so why do I do it this way? For years and years and years, I struggled with math, and subtraction was particularly hard for me because the way that they say to do it in schools didn't make sense. So in middle school, I had a phenomenal math teacher named Miss Bland. And Miss Bland, she took a totally different approach to learning. And I thank her for that. And she was from Arkansas. She was a hoot. She would go to Sam's warehouse and buy these candies called atomic fireballs. They were a jawbreaker type candy that was flavored with cinnamon oil, and they was very hot because of the cinnamon, and they was very hard. And so she would buy buckets of these pre-wrapped candies, and every time you got an answer right, she would chunk it at you. And so there was fireballs being thrown everywhere. She could have played in the major leagues with her arm the way she could toss. And she made learning fun and interesting. And even though I don't like fireballs at all. It was just fun to be in her class. And so she taught us this method of subtraction called Austrian subtraction. And so it just stuck. It's something that I really liked, and it made sense. It was easy to follow, and now I can do subtraction usually faster than most people. The problem in America today is that we have tried to avoid conflict so much that we do not know how to handle anything different. It's kind of like they say, don't talk about politics or religion. Well, if you do not discuss these issues, how are you going to handle difficult situations, contentious situations? And so that makes us unable to perceive anything different. It actually boxes us in. So we're being boxed in with our thoughts. And that's not good for thinkers. You should not be boxed in if you are a thinker. And that hampers innovation. It hampers development. It hampers so much. And so that is what's going on in our culture today, is that you see our unwillingness to accept diversity of thought. And so, a lot of people say, well, this isn't the government approved way of doing math. And they get upset because the government devised a method that don't work for me. And I didn't agree to it. They don't realize in the Constitution that we are the ones that have the power, that in the Declaration of Independence, it lays out in the preamble that it is the people. We're the ones in charge, not the government. So if the government devised something that's wrong, we are the ultimate powers in our government. And so we have the ability to say, no, we don't want to do that. And I'm not saying that the government devised system is bad. I'm just saying it was bad for me. There's millions and millions and millions of people that use this old tried and true system, and it works, and I'm happy for them. I just never could use it. It made no sense. This Austrian subtraction, it made sense. Now, I'm assuming because it said Austrian subtraction in its name that came from Austria, it may not be the case. I'm not saying that it is from Austria. I'm just saying that the process, no matter where it came from, is better for me. And what's great is that maybe there is a process, say, in Japan or Malaysia or wherever else in the world. And let's say that they have an even different approach to subtraction that maybe my niece or one of my nieces, or maybe one of my nephews, or maybe one of my godchildren, that they look at it and they go, this makes sense. Well, then let's do that. If it makes sense to you and it's right, I don't see a problem with it. Do what works for you. Another thing that I'm going to talk about too is vinculums. So let's say that we're going to be doing repeating decimals. So we all know that if you take and you subtract, or not subtract, but divide 3, or divide 1 by 3, what you'll get is you're going to get, I've got to do my little line thing. Sorry about that. You're going to get a series of 3s. Okay. So what I do is I put a line over that 3. And that's something Miss Bland taught me as well. So what is that line? That line has a name. It is a vinculum. So a vinculum is what you put over a series of repeating numbers. And it just lets you know that it's constantly repeating. and it will stay 3333333 forever. It will never change. And so the American system that most people use is that after so many decimal points, they'll just round up. So it'll be 3.33334, because they wanted to stop somewhere, and so they'll put a 4, and they say that's close enough. Whereas this is far more precise, and it lets you know immediately, okay, it's repeating, it's never going to end, there's never an end to this, and it's just these numbers constantly repeating. So let's say it was 345. Let's say I whatever that I was dividing out came to 345. I would put that vinculum over 345. That would let you know forever and ever and ever 345. So again, that's a different system. In college, I had a professor. He was a pretty cool cat, Dr. Settles. And I went to school with his son, Stephen. And Stephen was a genius. Of course, his dad was a college professor, so you kind of expect it. But Stephen, every time, just the thoughts that he had just amazed me, because he was just so smart. And so Dr. Settle mentioned his son. He didn't realize I knew his son. And he was talking about how his son was struggling with math in college, that he might actually fail math if he didn't get his act together, which Stephen was always a straight A student. And I thought that Dr. Settle's approach was amazing. When his son was complaining about the math, instead of trying to tell his son, this is how you do it, or trying to make sense out of it, he told his son, get a smarter math book. Well, what did that mean? He was trying to teach his son a life lesson. He was trying to teach his son that sometimes approach does not work for us. It doesn't mean that it's a bad approach. It just means it is not the approach for the person. And so you need to find a different approach to get at the answer. 54 minus 36 will always be 18. That is indisputable. 31 minus 17 will always be 14. But there, as you can see, there's different approaches to get to that answer. Find the one that works for you. It's okay to be different. Sometimes different thoughts produce better or innovative thoughts than ones that follow the tried and true. As long as you're getting at the same answer, then why not? What is the harm? Now, if you come up with a different answer, if it's wrong, wrong is still wrong. That's the beauty of math. Math is used to teach you life, that there's approaches, there's logic, there's ways to get at something. And so if your approach gets you the right answer, go for it. The same thing with the vinculum. You want to use a vinculum, that gives you precise numbering. If you want to round off, unless you're trying to get to a star system far, far away, or you're dealing with some type of very fine machinery where somebody might need a part for their heart to still be beating and it needs to be precise, you can get away with it for a lot of stuff, and that's okay. But that precision, I like precision. So that vinculum is just, it's so elegant to me and so simple. And so I use it. I'm not a person that loves math, but I can appreciate the beauty of it. I hope that you've liked this, and that maybe I've taught you something. And if you have a different approach, I would love to hear about it in the comments. So if you got something that, I've never thought of or never heard of, I'll look it up and see what it is. Or maybe you're a content creator and you have a video where you're showing a different approach. Maybe it's Japanese or maybe it's whatever, and you got something from Bosnia or Ukraine or wherever. Then show it, share it, because people learn in these comments. And I think that's important, that we try to create a network, a community. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, that thumbs up button, hit that notification bell so you can get notified future content. Also subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Bye.